This is the study guide for the theater EC-12 teaching certification, and the test is called the TExES 180. Mirror games most develop spontaneity in acting students. This is because partners in mirror games must mimic a series of unscripted movements in real time, thus fostering spontaneity and attentiveness. So mirror games help with spontaneity. In the standard play format used in the United States, the names of characters who are speaking are distinguished from dialogue through the use of all caps. In standard play format in the United States, character names appear above corresponding dialogue in all caps. Building a two-level moving human sculpture best describes an improvisational activity that is useful for developing actors' focus as an ensemble. So if you want actors to work together as a team, have them build like a human pyramid. This is because it's an activity that requires the members of the ensemble to concentrate on their collective effort. Emotional recall is the basis for Stanislavski's method acting. Sense memory is used to refer to the recall of physical sensations surrounding emotional events instead of emotions themselves. So if you remember when you felt really sad, what was the temperature like? What was the sound in the room like? Using those as anchors. The use of affective memory remains a controversial topic in acting theory. Otherwise known as emotional memory, it is often used by making the actors completely relax so that they can recall the memory better. So that's emotional recall or sense memory, and that's the basis for Stanislavski's method acting. Significant experiences from the actor's life that are relevant to the play, directly related to the work of an actor using sense memory when rehearsing a play. Because sense memory consists of an actor using personal experience to enrich his or her character. The super objective. What is the super objective? The super objective is a term created by Konstantin Stanislavski to refer to a character's overall desire. A director can help an actor strengthen character development by helping the actor to understand what a character wants above all else. To reflect the style that most like that of the original players of a Molière comedy, contemporary actors should model their physical and vocal technique after the methods of the Commedia dell'arte. Molière shared a theater with Commedia dell'arte troupe, and theater historians and critics frequently discuss the influence of Commedia dell'arte conventions on the Molière plays and productions. Central conflict. What is a central conflict? Central conflict is the term used to describe the major struggle in the play. The director must understand the conflict in order to develop an adequate conception for the production. To unify a production, a director must develop a concept or approach to the production. The director can begin to develop this concept or approach by building an understanding of the struggle between the major contending forces in the play, or the central conflict. In relation to the work of a set designer, the director is responsible for communicating a cohesive vision for a production to all designers associated with the production, including the set designer. The spine of the play. The spine of the play would be all the events related to that super objective that take place, like one triggering another. The spine is the play's main action or central message, and it's determined by analyzing the play's characters and story. To determine the spine of a play, a director determines the central message as it relates to the characters and story. Before the first technical rehearsal, often the director will meet with the stage manager and designers to map out transitions and cue placement, as well as plan the upcoming technical rehearsals. This work is usually referred to as paper tech. Paper tech is the meeting between stage manager, director, and designers intended to map out and notate the transitions and cues. That's paper tech. According to the United States copyright law, any work published prior to January 1st, 1923 is the public domain and does not require permission or payment to anyone in order to use that play. Example, a 19th century melodrama adapted from Shakespeare. You wouldn't have to pay for that or get any kind of rights to perform that. So anything before 1923 is free game. The Laramie Project. The Laramie Project is a play that promotes tolerance and acceptance of diversity regarding gender roles and sexual orientation within a community. The Laramie Project promotes acceptance of people regardless of their sexual orientation and their conformity to gender norms. Types of theater space. We have the proscenium theater, is like a picture frame placed around the front of the playing area on an end stage. The thrust theater is a stage surrounded by an audience on three sides. An arena theater is a central stage surrounded by an audience on all sides. And a found space is you kind of, it's already there, it's a space, but you kind of make it into a theater or convert it into some kind of performing space. Like if you wanted to use a storefront, you could have it out there. Or if you wanted to just use like a sports arena, but convert it into a theater. Black box theater spaces are best suited to an environmental staging of a production. Environmental staging can best be achieved in a black box theater, since the architectural flexibility of such a theater best allows for the commingling of actors and audience in the same space. The main purpose of a lighting designer's cue sheet is documenting each instance when lights in a production change or move and keying these occurrences to the script. So a cue sheet records each movement or change in the lights, linking it to a specific point in the script. What's a follow spot? A follow spot is presentational and most often does not represent realistic source considered or motivated light. So a follow spot is just kind of that spotlight that follows the actor, and a follow spot is unmotivated or non-considered source of light. Because it's just a spotlight to illuminate the actors, it doesn't represent a real light source, like a lamp would be a real light source, or something that's showing light in a real room. That's the follow light's just kind of there to make sure we can see the actors. It doesn't represent the sun, typically. In stage design, what's the most common use of a scrim? Well, a scrim is loosely woven fabric that is opaque when lit from the front, hiding what's behind it, and transparent when lit from behind, revealing what's behind it. So a scrim is most commonly used to allow actors and scenery to suddenly appear and disappear. A set piece. A set piece serves as a focal point for the set design and frequently for the action of the play. A set piece is central to the action of the play and also dictates the overall design of the set. So for an example, the pool in Metamorphoses is central to all the stories told in the play. At times it's a bath, a swimming pool, or even the sea, and it is the element around which the rest of the play's setting is designed. What is a pomander? A pomander is a small metal box for holding fragrances that was used during the Elizabethan era. What's a wimple? A wimple is a head and neck covering from the medieval time period. A ruff is an Elizabethan accessory worn around the neck. And a corset provided the hourglass silhouette of many women's fashions in the Victorian era. Why do actors use makeup? Actors use makeup to ensure that their faces read clearly, that they are emphasizing basic facial features to help convey the fullest range of facial expressions over a considerable distance. I want someone all the way in the back of the theater to be able to see my expression, so I'm going to enhance my features with makeup. When playing a role grounded in a particular time period, of course we have to be worried about using period-specific clothing, but we also need to be thinking about period-specific hairstyles. Hairstyles are important considerations for accurately depicting the style of a specific time period. If the actor's hair cannot be styled in a manner appropriate to the period, a wig may be necessary. Calling a show is the process by which a stage manager signals changes in lighting, sound, and scenes during a performance. The production manager is responsible for staffing and budgeting the production. The stage crew is responsible for moving the scenery during a performance. The stage manager is responsible for coordinating the director's work with that of the technical and design departments, as well as that of the actors. So the stage manager is really coordinating the director's work and making sure that everybody else understands it and is following it out. The technical director oversees and manages the stage crew. And remember, the stage crew are the people who are moving the things on stage. What is new comedy? New comedy refers to the domestic comedies that were written and performed in ancient Greece and Rome. New comedy, domestic comedies written and performed in ancient Greece and Rome. The writings of Charles Darwin most directly influenced naturalism. In the late 19th century, there was a movement known as naturalism that depicted characters and their behavior as products of heredity, environment, and determinism, in direct response to the influence of Darwin's evolutionary conceptions of human behavior. So, Charles Darwin, naturalism. Maria Irene Fornes. Irene Fornes is a Cuban American writer whose best-known plays, such as Foof and Her Friends and Mud, deal with genders of issue. Her plays also frequently take place in the United States. To research the first staging of a play, if you wanted to go back in time and see how did they first stage this play, the very first time it was performed, the best way that you can find that out is to find newspaper reviews of the very first run of whatever play you're looking for, because it will provide a reliable first-hand description of the production. And what is staging a play? Staging a play is the process of selecting, designing, adapting to, or modifying the performance space for a play or film. This includes the use of or absence of stagecraft elements, as well as the structure of the stage and its components. The primary basis for script analysis lies in literature, because when conducting a script analysis to determine the essential themes and meanings of a play, a theater professional relies most directly on knowledge of literary or textual studies. Having students act out scenes from stories they are reading combines the activity of reading with an improvisational dramatic exercise to bolster reading comprehension. Students must understand what they are reading to determine how the scenes should be acted. So this is a good process-centered drama technique to encourage the development of students' reading skills. What is scaffolding? Scaffolding is the process of providing support to learners when they are first introduced to a new concept or skill. So you're going to teach it and be there to support and model. Then the next time you kind of just maybe teach it and you're there to help with questions. The last time you're going to kind of teach it, let them do it on their own. So we're slowly removing those supports once they're getting the hang of it. Spaced repetition is a learning technique that utilizes increasing intervals of time between reviews of previously learned material. So before, when I teach you something, quiz you. Now it's, I teach you something yesterday, let's quiz you today. Now it's, I taught you something on Monday, let's quiz you on Friday. Now it's, I taught it to you months ago, and it's right there, you know it automatically. Pedagogy of the oppressed refers to a particular education theory wherein students are viewed as co-creators of their learning. Direct instruction refers only to a method of delivering information to students rather than to a technique for ensuring understanding of material. So this is that typical lecture style, that direct instruction. So a middle school theater teacher is presenting a lesson to students about the director's responsibility in a theatrical production. Okay, so the assignment that she should give is for the students to read a short scene and explain to the class how the scene would look if they were directing it. This will allow students to understand all of the director's responsibilities. To incorporate critical thinking into class study of a play, remember, critical thinking, students must now gather information and synthesize and evaluate it to come to an informed understanding. So when you want to evoke those higher order thinking skills, make sure the students are gathering information, synthesizing it, and evaluating to come to their own informed understanding. How can we practice creative problem solving? Well, here's an assignment. Create a potential set design that could be adapted to different types of stages. For example, a thrust, arena, black box. Process-centered drama is a form of drama also known as creative drama, which involves the instructor guiding participants to first imitate actual experiences and then reflect upon them. If a drama teacher wanted to demonstrate pantomime to her students, she might attempt to tell a story using only facial expressions and bold gestures. Each student is asked to enter a circle, pick up a cloth, and answer the question, what could this piece of fabric be? The students are encouraged to use their imaginations while answering. This is an example of a theater game used as a warm-up. What is the most important difference between process-centered drama and production-centered drama? A teacher allows a high level of creative freedom in process-centered drama. In production-centered drama, there is a director, and the outcome is structured and predetermined. Listening, reacting, engaging in eye contact, and thoroughly understanding prompts are all important elements when nurturing a student's ability to develop effective interaction. Subtext. Subtext is the unspoken or less obvious meaning or message in a literary composition, drama, speech, or conversation. Subtext draws an audience into a story by providing just enough information that forces them to connect the dots and arrive at conclusions on their own. For example, if we're having a conversation and I roll my eyes at a comment that implies that I don't agree with it or that I'm annoyed by it. And good luck!